The Buddha said multi-beings could perform virtues in 10 ways, and so could they perpetrate vices in 10 ways. What are these 10 vices? There are 3 in the body, 4 in the mouth, and 3 in the mind. Please continue watching to find out more.
Buddha, or Gautama Buddha, also known as Shakyamuni Buddha, was a great extraordinary spiritual master from ancient India. Born as Prince Siddhartha Gautama in the 5th century BC, he would have naturally inherited the vast wealth of a kingdom. However, the prince left the palace life in search of spiritual knowledge. After years of contemplative seeking, the Buddha attained great enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. He then shared the merits of his practice by providing a method for other sentient beings to be freed from the cycle of death and rebirth. The rich treasury of Buddha's spiritual doctrine on universal truths is studied and revered to this day for its deep wisdom and compassion. The Sutra of 42 chapters is thought to be the first Buddhist sutra from India to be translated into Chinese. During the 1st century AD, His Majesty Emperor Ming of China one night dreamt of a golden being with light surrounding his body who flew into the palace. The next morning, His Majesty Emperor Ming summoned all his ministers and high officials to find out who this golden being might be. One of his ministers told the emperor about a great spiritual master named Buddha, whose teachings originated in India. Realizing that this must be the golden being in his dream, the emperor asked that a delegation go to the region where the Buddha had lived. He instructed them to request Buddhist scriptures that could help enlighten the Chinese people. The delegates traveled to India, where they were able to obtain Sanskrit sutras. They also invited the venerated Kasyapa Matanga and Dharmaraksha, whom they met during the trip, to return with them and assist in translation. The Sutra of 42 chapters is one of the most widely read of the Buddha's scriptures. This short but important scripture provides an entire range of Buddha's teachings, from the very basic to the most profound. We will now share with you some excerpts from the Sutra of 42 chapters, as revealed by the Buddha. Chapter 2. Termination of Desires and Refrainment from Seekings. The Buddha said, what the home-renouncing Shramana should be committed to do is to dissever all lusts and discard all loves, to take cognizance of his own mental origin and to comprehend the profound Buddhist doctrines. He is to be enlightened in the Dharma of non-implementation, so that he could realize that there is nothing to be obtained inwardly, and that he would quest for nothing outwardly either. His mind would not be attached even to the truthful route, nor would he fabricate any more karmas. He would maintain in the non-deliberation and non-performance, non-cultivation and non-attestation, without appropriating the hierarchical stages of realizations, yet will he thus ascend the most prestigious status, and this is called the Buddhaic way. Chapter 4. Concurrent Definitions of Good and Evil. The Buddha said, multi-beings could perform virtues in 10 ways, and so could they perpetrate vices in 10 ways. What are these 10 vices? There are 3 in the body, 4 in the mouth, and 3 in the mind. The 3 physical vices are killing, stealing, and copulation. The 4 oral vices are alienating speeches, scurrilous words, untruthful language, and meaningless chatters. The 3 mental vices are jealousy, resentment, and ignorance. These 10 vices are against the sacred way, and so they are also called the 10 vile deeds. If these vices are terminated, that will result in 10 virtues. Chapter 5. The mitigation of weighty vices into slight ones. The Buddha said, if a man has committed a number of faults, Yet he never regrets anything about what he has done, and would not restrain his mind from wrongdoings right away. Eventually, the penalty of his sins will come to claim his body, just as all rivers flow into the sea, and thereby his sins will grow ever deeper and wider. Whereas, when a man commits an error, he becomes aware of his own fault and would try to correct the evil and to do good instead, then his sins will be mitigated and disappear. It is like a person who falls ill, but after he has perspired profusely, his illness will heal gradually. Chapter 6. Forbear will it is to be exempt from resentment. The Buddha said, when evil people hear about your good deeds, they might come to disturb and vex you on purpose. In this case, you should keep yourself restrained and tranquil, and do not get resentful and reprehend them. The evil deeds that they do would make none but the evildoers themselves evil. Chapter 7. Malefactions recoil to the perpetrator. The Buddha said, when someone heard that the Buddha observes the truthful way and acts on great benevolence and compassion, he should come to rebuke the Buddha. The Buddha simply kept reticent and would make no response to him. Thereupon, the revilement came to a halt. The Buddha then asked him, if you bring a gift to someone, but he would not accept your gift, would the gift still belong to you? The man replied, yes, it would. The Buddha said, similarly, just now you rebuked me, and I did not accept any of the rebukes. Hence, you are to take all those rebukes back with their disastrous retributions to yourself. This result is just like an echo reverberating to a sound, or like a shadow following close to the shape. There is no way to evade or avoid the consequences. Therefore, be careful not to commit any wicked deeds. Chapter 8. Thus throwing and spitting upward befoul oneself. The Buddha said, when a vicious person attempts to do harms to virtuous people, it is just as he tries to spit upward at heaven. Yet the spitting could not go so far as to reach heaven, and in no time it would revert and fall upon the spitter himself. It can also be compared to someone who tries to throw some dust at another person against the wind. Likewise, the dust would not go far enough to reach the person aimed at, but it would soon come back to smear the thrower himself. Therefore, do not try to malign virtuous people. The backfire disasters could destroy the maligner himself. Blessed viewers, thank you for your company on today's excerpts from the Sutra of the 42 chapters, part 1 of 2, chapter 2 and chapters 4 to 8 on words of wisdom.